Street of Rage 1 was released in 1991 on the Sega Mega Drive. It was Sega's answer to Final Fight on the SNES. When people talk about the Street of Rage series, they seem to mostly talk about the second installment or the much more recent fourth game. Both represent some of the best the beating up genre has to offer. Street of Rage 3, on the other hand, often gets characterized as a disappointment that failed to live up to the brilliance that was its predecessor, Street of Rage 2. The increased difficulty of the Western release also did not do it any favor in terms of popularity. And then finally we have the game that is the subject of this video, the widely overlooked original Street of Rage. At least I almost never hear anyone talking about it. Now thinking back, I have played the original a few times as a kid, but I hardly remember anything about it. Adam was a playable character, there was his cop car with a bazooka, and well, that's about it. So I felt it was time to revisit this game. Now as we watch the intro sequence end, we're gonna get right into the run. So we have the three main characters of the game, Adam, Axel and Blaze. Where Adam, I would not recommend to play Adam, initially at least, because Adam is very slow, he is strong and he has a very good jumping kick, but he's really slow. Axel's a bit in between, he has a good speed, good power, but yeah, pretty pathetic jumping kick. And then Blaze is the fastest, with a pretty good jumping kick, a bit less powerful. But I think that is mostly in terms of her jumping kick does less damage, and her typical punch kick combo ends with a kick that doesn't always hit an enemy. So, but in the end, all characters are viable. It is interesting to see that the first installment already has most of like the core character moves that have been part of the series ever since. You have your typical combo, so 4 punches and then a kick finisher, your jumping kick, your back attack. You can grab enemies, knee them, throw them backwards, or you can vault over them and do a dunk. There are weapons like bottles, pipes and knives you can use. Enemies can grab you from behind, and that allows you to still kick forward or throw them off you, to the front of you. In co-op you have these essentially co-op moves. And then there's a special, but the special is a bit different in this game compared to everything afterwards. The special will summon a cop car, which then shoots a bazooka, which is a clear screen clearing attack. Onto the boss of the first level. Now about the special, you get one at every stage, at the start of every stage. So if you use it or don't use it, it doesn't matter. You always have one at the start of every level, excluding the last level. There are a few places where you can get like a second special, but if you don't use it and you die, or you finish the level, then you will be reset back to one special. So there's no real need to save up your specials. You should just use them every level, which ironically I didn't do in the first level just now. So in terms of enemies, like the main enemies we've seen so far are quite familiar because they are present in all the subsequent entries in the series as well. And I must say the enemies I'm fighting right now, I find those to be the most annoying ones in the game. I mean, not at this level, but the further you get in the game, they will change color and they will become much more aggressive. And I personally feel they are the most dangerous enemies in the game. And that stems from the fact that they can be really aggressive. They have a very good reach with their punches, and they often just like hit you once or twice to stun lock you in place while like another enemy or even a boss like tramples all over you. As far as I know, there's no way to throw away a weapon, except for the knife. After you use it a few times, you might just throw it, and I don't know what really controls that, as in sometimes I can use it 7-8 times before I throw it, and sometimes I throw it on the second time I try to use it. But the only real way to drop a weapon is to get grabbed by an enemy or get hit by an enemy. Second stage boss is trivial if you were to fight it alone, but this additional enemy makes it annoying because it gets in the way. Luckily, it's still not a very hard fight, and if you still have your special, just remember to use it. It does about half a life bar of damage to a boss. I think one of the main differences between Streets of Rage 1 and like Streets of Rage 2 is how the bosses work. In Streets of Rage 1, the bosses are either like very straightforward, or they require like specific movements or ways to go about defeating them. And just overall, the bosses are just like not really fun to fight against, I feel, compared to the stages. I think there's only one boss, which is like 2 girls that you fight. which I think is also the hardest boss fight, but that is like the most interesting one. Also in terms of mechanics, but we'll get to that in a few stages. But most bosses, when you fight them alone, you can essentially grab them and then do 2 knees and then release them, grab them, do 2 knees. Or if they're just walking into the screen, you can grab them, do 2 knees, vault over them, which pushes you, which is not allowed. Because the boss is like, you can't vault over the boss if it's not fully on screen yet. Which means you're pushed back in front of the boss again. And then you just grab them and do a knee and do the vault and just repeat this over and over. This is a run on hard difficulty. The main difference between normal and hard is actually in the bosses. Sure, there's some additional enemies. Maybe they have more health, I don't know, maybe they're a bit more aggressive, but the thing that really stood out to me is the bosses. And then specifically how much damage they do. Bosses on hard do between 50 and 90% damage per hit, which is pretty insane. So any boss is like 2 hits and you're dead. When I started playing Streets of Rage 1 again, I actually started playing with Adam, which I shouldn't have, because I felt the game was very, how do I say, it felt very slow and sluggish, but that's because Adam is a very slow character, and it is a somewhat like an older game, so they tend to be a bit less fluid, and yeah, it's more important like how you space yourself against enemies, like where you position yourself. Yeah, this is what I usually do. I just like keep hitting them until they're almost dead. Well, dead enough that a special will kill them completely. Or when I'm grabbing them and just hitting them with like a repeated grab combo. If another enemy would then come in and try to interrupt it, then I would use my special. But yeah, as I was saying, it felt kind of sluggish to play initially. But I think it just took like a bit of adjusting to like how the game moves and behaves. And also like the enemy movement, like how they move towards you when you have your back turned to them, and when you're looking at them, how they want to circle around you. Alright, there's also one move I didn't mention yet, but if an enemy grabs you and throws you, you can just press up and jump to land on your feet, so you take 0 damage. The timing on that is so forgiving that it's almost impossible to fail. Always try to make use of these and bottomless pits. This game is, at least compared to the second installment, rather buggy in terms of like grabs. There's many cases where like some funkiness happens when you're grabbing onto an enemy and either like throwing them or vaulting over them. Here's the throw recovery I just did. I think we're also going to see this later into the run where I managed to grab like 2 enemies at the same time. And also a spot where for whatever reason like damage was not registered. Now you can make this aim easier or harder on yourself. If you always move to the right until you're not able to scroll the screen any further, you will have the maximum amount of enemies on screen, which will make the game a lot tougher. If you just take it slow, you can like bait out a few enemies at a time, which makes the game a lot simpler. So this is one of the bosses I initially had quite a bit of issues with. But you just need to learn that as soon as you get close enough, it will start doing the fire breath. But it's quite easy to get out of the way from. But I just tend to focus on like the smaller enemies first. There are 4 of them, and now you just can fight the boss alone. And then the idea is let it run past you, then hit it in the back, and then you can grab it and do one of these infinite grab combos. And again, I could have used the special to take out the boss sooner or take one of the smaller enemies out. In terms of lives, this game is extremely generous. After 50,000 points you get a life, and after that after every 100,000 points. Plus there's a few 1-ups spread throughout the levels. So it's quite doable to get over like 10 lives when you hit the final stage. Yeah, so this stage is probably, I would say, the first real difficulty increase, both in terms of the stage itself and the boss, because it has the most difficult boss of the game at the end. And so if you want to have an easier time, do not scroll the screen to the right too much in one go. This level also has some of the biggest enemy groups you can get. There will be a group of 8 coming up, and then there's a group of 15 or 16 enemies at once. I don't think a lot of beat 'em ups had that many enemies on screen at once during that era of gaming, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, so there we had like 8 enemies at once. I picked up the bat because it's usually the easiest to get rid of them, but I thought like, oh, I'm just gonna use my special. And the bat is very good for this section. Because these enemies have become slightly more difficult now, or should I say more annoying, because I think half of them, if you hit them, and it can just be one jab, they will like knee down on the floor and then you can't hit them anymore until they stand up, which is just super annoying. So you want to either grab them or use a bat to just do a lot of damage in one go to multiple of them. Yeah, the throw recovery is a true lifesaver in this game. Yeah, here I'm trying to scroll the screen as the least amount of possible to spawn some new enemies, but I think I'm also somewhat confused on like which enemy group is about to spawn. So I'm taking it a lot slower here than is actually necessary. Yeah, sometimes like a flying kick is just the easiest way to close the gap to an enemy that for sometimes just really wants to stay out of your way. Like punching, and just in general connecting hits with an enemy feels very good in this game. Feels very solid. There's also a good amount of like stun associated to every hit you land. Yeah, which really makes the game fun to play, and yeah, you feel in control because of it. If this guy would now hit me even once, I would be dead. So for safety, I should have like eaten the chicken, but yeah. Yeah, now watch this section, because I don't know, the game decided that hits don't do damage anymore. But yeah, there's like an additional special hidden there, so you can just grab it, immediately use it, because there's like way too much enemies to fight. But I don't recall that ever happening before, that I took hits, but without taking any actual damage. It's also kind of funny that we're on a boat somewhere, but this police car still managed to... well, I guess he also went on the boat with me. Now, there are some tricks you can do when you're like really surrounded by enemies. Is that you can like do your free punch combo, wait briefly, and then turn around and do the free hit combo again. So if you do the turning around like very rapidly, you will actually essentially execute the combo on both sides at the same time. Okay, so this is probably the most hardest boss in the game. And yeah, so one always walks towards you and wants to grab you, and the other one always wants to do a flying kick against you. And the idea is that you, if you move towards the one that wants to grab you, she tends to jump over you. And so you need to try and bait the one that wants to jump kick you. Move underneath her out of the way, then grab her, and then just try to take out that one first. But as you see, there's like, yeah, and any hit is almost to death. And when there's just one left, she will do both moves. But it's kind of easy to see once you get used to this fight a bit more, like in what mode she is. Is she gonna do the grab mode, or is she in the jump and kick mode? But yeah, this boss just takes a while to practice, to get used to the patterns. And if you're really good at it, you can do things like grab the one that does the flying kicks, and you can just keep on holding her. You won't really release her. And then just wait for the other one to essentially like jump in you, and then you can do a knee, and then if you do it all correctly, you will have both of them grabbed at the same time. It's kind of funky, but it allows you to destroy that boss really quickly. Now this is by far my least favorite stage with the conveyor belts. I never like conveyor belts. Also seeing some red versions of enemies now. I think red just means they are the most aggressive types. And black versions of enemies are the ones that have the most health. And while this game has excellent music overall, I feel this stage is not one of them. Oh yeah, I kinda messed up here. I was expecting that boss to, mid-boss to appear from the right side of the screen, not the left. Yeah, don't try to throw this boss, because he's too heavy. Enemies can get hit by this, but it usually does not happen. Because the timing is kind of hard to get right, and I don't think it does a lot of damage, so it's not really worth trying to get the hit that way. Now for this stage I'd really suggest to try and not use your special until you're at the boss. There's also another special item in this level, but the idea is to be able to use both specials when you make it to the boss. Yeah, these red guys are really aggressive. And it was like a short example of what I mentioned before, that you can like do this punch combo while rapidly wiggling left and right. I don't do it that often, but if you look at speedruns, what they typically do is they just run as far to the right as possible, to spawn as many enemies at the same time as possible, and then do this wiggling left-right combo on them to take care of them really quickly. You just need to make sure you don't do your fourth hit in your combo. There's the second special. So I don't have a lot of health left, so if I would die now, I would lose my second special. I don't understand what's up with this enemy, because he is juggling something, he just can't see it until he throws it. Which effectively makes the enemy easier, because he's not juggling fire right now, which means he can't hit you by contact. But I really want to fight these enemies individually. This level just goes on for way too long. Yeah, this is this is not how you're supposed to fight her. Alright. 2 times the second stage boss. So I have 2 specials. I decided to use them now, which I think is not the best. Yeah, it's better to do when you think you're gonna get hit by them. Yeah, that's like the easiest strategy to get rid of them, but it's you have to be kind of precise. Another option is to just walk diagonally towards them and then you can grab them. But if there are 2, that's kind of tricky, I feel, and I always get hit by the other one that I'm not trying to grab. But yeah, 1 death, it's fine. We have plenty of lives left. Look at that, an elevator stage. It's a shame there's only one of such a stage in Streets of Rage 1. Yeah, not a great start right there. So this stage is special for a few reasons. There's no boss at the end. And there's like no health drops or any item drops at all. Except weapons that enemies take with them. However, the special still works even though you're like on an elevator. Now, a very neat thing about this stage is that, well, we're in an elevator outside of a building trying to get to the top. And apparently this is one of the tallest buildings in the city because slowly the elevator will make its way above the skyline. I think that's a very nice design detail. Yeah, standing too close to the end is kind of risky because they can throw you over the ledge. Two more floors left. Yeah, I mispressed the button on the joypad. I didn't want to do this special. Yeah, finding such groups of enemies, when there's one of these whip enemies in between, it's kind of tricky because the whip has very good reach. So oftentimes you're kind of like stuck in your position. Almost got thrown over the ledge there. You kind of get stuck in your current position. You can't really move until you've like dealt with the enemies. And then this whip girl comes in and just whips you. That's also why I did a bunch of these jump kicks. Alright, on to the final stage. The only stage where you will not have a special, because I guess the cop car went with me on the elevator. Now you notice the window there, it's still like dark outside, but the further we progress through this level, the brighter, lighter it gets outside. Either signaling the passage of time or the fact that we're slowly making the city a better place. Either way, again, it's a nice design touch. So the way this stage is laid out is you have sections where you just beat groups of enemies, followed by a boss, and that repeats. So we're gonna fight the first stage boss, the second stage boss, etc. Until we fought them all again, and then we head to the final boss, Mr. X. I haven't mentioned the timer yet. So there's a timer at the center top of the screen. So if you take too long and this time runs out, you will lose a life. And yeah, so here I do the vaulting trick. It's like the safest, most reliable way to get rid of these bosses, and they always spawn alone, so no other enemies, which means yeah, that is by far the easiest and quickest way to deal with them. But yeah, so the time. You might say, well, you know, you should have plenty of time to beat a stage, which typically is the case. However, when you yeah, in this level there's like towards the end, it is quite likely that you get a timeout, because you have a fairly long stretch of these fights, and then it's followed by the boss with the two girls. And if you're unlucky or you don't really know how you're supposed to handle that boss specifically, you know, the time yeah, will reach 0. And the annoying thing about the time is, so even if you do like finish a section of a level, after which the time should be set, or you finish a boss or whatever, At some point you have these places where your character, you can't control it anymore. It's an auto mode to move to somewhere. But then the time still ticks. And you can actually get a timeout while you're not able to control your character, and it will cost you a life. Yeah, when that happens, it really feels like the game is trolling you. See, it just gets lighter and lighter outside. Yeah, they can do slides, but they hardly ever do them. And whereas in Streets of Rage 2, they do them all the time. Usually when you get 4 of these, that means the boss will be next, except for the last section. Again, you see I'm taking it quite slow, not scrolling the screen too much at once, to spawn the minimum amount of enemies every time. Yeah, so funny that that actually works on a boss. Also, one thing about picking up health, it doesn't give you any points. So if you're full health, it's meaningless to pick up health. Alright. Behind the doors we'll have Mr. X, but we need to defeat a few more enemies. And then the boss will be the two girls. And again, one will do flying kicks and the other one will do grabs. And we're trying to grab the one that does the kicks after she lands. See, here is like a weird thing where you can actually grab them both at the same time. That was an unfortunately timed back attack. Yeah, that was a bit stupid. Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. So this fight is almost done, and then Mr. X will give us a choice to either join him or not. If we decide to join him, he will send us back to the conveyor belt level, and you have to fight all your way back here again, and then you'll fight Mr. X anyway. Now this is the boss fight I practiced the least, but I always felt like, well, you know, if I do the rest of the game well enough, then I'll have enough resources, meaning lives, when I finally make it to the final boss, and then I should be able to survive. And now Mr. X is actually super simple to deal with. It's just that these continuously respawning red enemies make the fight difficult. Or unpredictable. It's probably a better way to put it. Yeah, I should have thrown the boss right there, because whenever you vault over it at the start, the red enemy will be faster than you, so they will hit you. Yeah, the start of this fight is really bad, and I'm losing a ton of lives in quick succession. But I think overall the idea that I want to go for is that you keep the boss on the left, he'll do his machine gun attack, and then after that he will rush towards you, and then you'll grab him and throw him back to the left. Now these bullets, you can either like hit them with your fist. It's more consistent to do like an air kick or an air knee in Axel's case. Or you can hold on to like an enemy and then throw them at the point the bullet will hit you. And if you do that kind of correctly, then the bullets won't hit you. You evade the enemies, and then you just like grab onto the boss and throw him back. But it's easier said than done, because these red enemies are so annoying. And now that Mr. X is down to his last health bar, now if we kill the red enemies, they will not respawn anymore. He's already killed one. And that's the second one. But yeah, when he's just alone, it's super simple. Yeah, but that's it. Hard clear of Streets of Rage 1. Overall, it's not too difficult to achieve this. It just you really need to practice some of the bosses. Especially the two girls, because it's yeah, otherwise you're gonna just lose all your lives right there. Yeah, overall impression, it's a fun game to play. I feel the roster of enemies is a bit lacking. I don't enjoy most of the bosses. They're like too simple. And damage-wise, it's it's a bit insane actually. Music is fantastic. Overall plays very nice, but yeah, to put this into perspective, like I think 1 year later, Street of Rage 2 came out, and that game is such a massive improvement on all fronts. It's truly amazing. I mean, this game, I think when you put it in its context, like the time when it was released, is already a really outstanding game. But the second installment, it's like, it just improves on this game on every single front. Like more characters, bigger moveset, more detailed and bigger sprites, like more interesting levels where you're not just walking from left to right or right to left. More elevators. Boss fights that are actually more fun to do. Anyway, that was it. See you next time.